Late nights, early mornings, he stays on the grind. Looking past the rate sheet for the value you'll find. He listens, he hustles, he speaks with intent. Every signature means more than...
That's right, everyone. And good morning, everyone. Welcome to the state. Hey, how do you? That's my new intro tune, and thank you, Chris Kelso, for creating that for me using ChatGPT. And so, hey, this week the big question is, hey, the Fed's going to reduce rates in December 2025. Jerome Powell just recently said it's not a foregone conclusion, and that uncertainty rippled through the markets, and we saw rates increase slightly. We're going to discuss that. We're going to discuss the ADP, and you know what? We're going to turn it over to Sol. Sol, why don't you fill everyone else in? And before we start with talking point number one.
Absolutely, Mac. Thanks for that intro, and good morning, everyone. So here's what you've got lined up today. We're diving into the latest on home prices, job growth, and mortgage rates, with a special spotlight on how our local Houston market is shaping up in comparison to the national trends. I'll be here as your co-host to add a bit of insight, a dash of humor, and keep things rolling smoothly. So let's jump right in and get started with talking point number one.
That's right. All this and more news you can use for weekending November 7, 2025. It's almost holiday time. You know what? My wife is decorating already. I'm so excited. I am your host, MortgageMack. That's first name Mortgage, last name Mack. And you know what? We believe that we build relationships with buyers and their agents to help everyone win, along with our co-host, ChatGPT 5.0, who is never late and never cancels, and is always in-depth and insightful. So let's get started with talking point number one. Thank you. Wow. So home price did slow, and we've been, discussing this for quite some time. And the Case-Shiller home price index shows that home price growth had slowed over 5 straight months previously, down a total of 1.1%. August finally showed a small rebound of 0.2% month over month, but annual growth slipped again from 1.6 in July to 1.5 in August. So what do you have for us locally in Houston?
Well, locally here in Houston, we've actually been a bit of a bright spot. While the national numbers are showing just a tiny rebound, Houston's been holding a bit steadier with about a 3.2% year over year increase in August. So our local market's still got a little more momentum. And just for a laugh, I guess we can say Houston's real estate is like our weather. It doesn't always follow the national forecast. So let's chat about what that means for buyers and sellers here.
I like that attempt at humor. How about this one? Either way, it's the first time in years buyers can say, honey, the market's cooling, without talking about air conditioning. So what do you think we are seeing? Do you believe that we're seeing early signs that buyers finally might be in a position to leverage sellers?
I love that one. And yes, absolutely. It's like a little market cool down that's not about the AC for once. I do think you're seeing some early signs of buyers having a bit more leverage. With prices softening just a touch and rates being a bit unpredictable, sellers might be more willing to negotiate than they were in the heat of last year's market. So it's a good time for buyers to keep an eye out and maybe flex a little bargaining power.
Yeah, if you're out there and you're watching, if you're house hunting, would you rather see prices falling or prices increasing? I think I know the answer to that, but we'd love to hear what you believe. And, you know, seriously, though, since post COVID, clearly we probably needed to moderate some of the growth in home prices, some of the growth in just across the board as far as goods and services are concerned. So, with that said, I believe that this is probably just a really, really nice maybe not nice is not the right word, but how about a leveling off of pricing in the housing market? So going to talking point number two, the October ADP report showed private employers added just 42,000 jobs after 2 straight months of losses. And before the pandemic, we were getting 100 to 200,000 new jobs per month, and that was normal. Wages for job stayers were up 4.5%, while job changers saw 6.7, only a small uptick. So what's going on here in Houston?
Well, here in Houston, we've had a bit of a steadier ride compared to the national numbers. Our local job market has actually added around 5,400 private sector jobs this past month, mostly in energy and healthcare. So while the overall numbers aren't booming like they were pre pandemic, Houston's at least holding its own. And hey, maybe it's just a sign that our city knows how to weather a storm or two, right? So it's a bit of a moderated growth, but we're not seeing anything too drastic. It's a good.
Yes. Yeah. So do you believe that this is sort of what the Fed's looking for as far as the labor market without dipping into recession?
Absolutely. I think you've hit the nail on the head. The Fed's aiming for that sweet spot where the labor market cools just enough to ease inflation without tipping into a full blown recession. So, seeing Slayer but still positive job growth is probably right in line with what they're hoping for. In other words, we're looking at a bit of a.
So that's interesting. So can you tell us when the GDP for the third quarter is due out, please? So so what she does that, we predicted that we were in recession second quarter. Clearly that didn't come to fruition, and we know the reasons why. But just curious so that we can keep an eye on the GDP figures. And I think the GDP figures of the third quarter are going to be an indicator for the Feds on what their next action would be. ChatGPT, did you find that data? So, well, go ahead. Go ahead. Did you got it? You got it?
I've got it. The GDP data for the third quarter of 2025 is set to be released at the end of this month. So we'll get those numbers soon, and that should give us all a clearer picture of what the Fed might do next. Let's keep an eye out.
That's right. That's right. I think even before making any predictions, we need to see what that figure looks like. And I'm of the mind that we're going to be in a recession. Maybe not in recession yet, but we're going to have negative growth. To be in recession, you got to have 2 quarters of negative growth. And so with that said, we, with job growth this slow, even room. Did you write these jokes, ChatGPT? With job growth this low, even my Roomba might qualify as an employee of the month. Okay, moving on for a commercial break from Rate and the Rate app.
Looking to purchase a new home? The Rate app from Guaranteed Rate has got you covered. Once you've downloaded the Rate app, click to log in and create your password. This will take you to the intro page. Click the gray Same Day or Home Loans tile, and then click the red Apply Now button. Then click Start a New Loan. Begin by telling us where you are in the home buying process. Typically, for a pre-approval, you will click What Can I Afford? From there, the Rate app will load a series of simple questions. Answer each one the best you can as you move along. Once you've completed the application, your loan officer will receive a notification so they can review your information and set up your personalized checklist. The Rate app even allows you to upload documents right from your phone. It's just that easy. And if you do get stuck or have any questions, just give us a call. We'll be sure to get your questions answered so we can get you one step closer to owning the home of your dreams. The Rate app from Guaranteed Rate, simplifying life's biggest purchase.
Hey, thank you for that, Rate. And hey, you know what? We love our application. We think we have the best. And I think, ChatGPT, can you do some research while I discuss our Rate app? My understanding is we are the number one digital platform for the mortgage industry, according to NerdWallet. And you know what? You can do just about everything on our mobile app that you can do on a desktop. So you could just be sitting at the tire store and sending your loan docs to MortgageMack or applying for a new home loan with MortgageMack. You could be walking through houses and apply. And our digital technology is so advanced that many people are getting approved at application. So moving on to talking point number 3, mortgage rates have moved up. Last week, the Fed cut rates by 25 basis points. That's 0.25%. But Powell's comment that a December cut was not a foregone conclusion rattled bond markets. The 10-year Treasury yield climbed back over 4, and mortgage rates ticked up to 6.22, up from the recent lows of 6.11, but certainly down from the highs that we experienced in October 2023, and for the most part of this year, where rates were in the upper 6 range, maybe even lower 7s in some in some cases. What do you have for us, Sol, for Houston, Texas, please?
Absolutely, Mac. Well, here in Houston, we're seeing a similar trend. Mortgage rates locally have nudged up a bit in line with the national picture. Right now, a lot of lenders in the Houston area are hovering around that same 6.2% range for a 30-year fixed. The good news is it's still at lower than those peaks we saw last year. So for our local buyers, it's a reminder to keep an eye on the market because even a little rate movement can affect affordability. And hey, if anyone's out house hunting this weekend, maybe consider it like a weather forecast. Little fluctuation, but nothing we can't handle with a good pan.
So if rates stay in this range, do you think we'll see a winter slowdown?
I think it's definitely possible we'll see a bit of a winter slowdown, but not necessarily a full stop. Buyers might take a little pause around the holidays, but as people get used to these rates, they might just treat 6% as the new normal. So we'll probably see a bit of a seasonal dip, but I think the market will keep moving. After all, people still need homes, and a little winter chill never stopped a determined buyer.
Thanks for that. Let's move on to today's mortgage tip. And hey, 3 reasons to buy a home. And everyone has their own reasons for wanting to buy a home, but no matter what's driving your move, the right loan can make all the difference. So
Absolutely. So let's talk about those top 3 reasons. Maybe you want a place that's truly yours. Maybe you want to be closer to family. Or maybe you're just looking for more space to live your best life. Whatever the reason, the right mortgage can really make that dream a lot more doable. So if anyone out there's thinking about it, feel free to reach out and we'll find the one that fits you best.
that's right. Direct message me and let's talk about your goals and find the mortgage options that best meet your particular needs. And let's plan in advance. I can't say enough about how critical it is to plan in advance in this process, definitely before you write the contract, even before you start to look at houses. You should get the financing in line. And that doesn't mean just applying for a home loan. What that means is applying for a home loan, meeting with someone like me in maybe not face to face, but in a video conference. Bring a real property to the interview. We'll sit down and we'll do real payments. We'll do real cash to close. We'll do a real analysis. We'll sort of do a test case to make sure that not only are you qualified, but it meets your goals as a home buyer. And we believe that knowing your numbers before you shop is the most important part of the home buying process. So moving on to this week's Stoic Quote of the week, for a little timeless wisdom to keep us all sane in the insane world that we live in. It's not death. Okay, let me start over. It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live. Marcus Aurelius. Ted, so what do you have about Marcus Aurelius? What can you tell us about this person?
Absolutely. So Marcus Aurelius was a Roman emperor and a Stoic philosopher, and he's famous for his writings in a work called Meditations. It's basically his personal journal where he reflects on how to live a virtuous life, stay resilient, and focus on what we can control. He is a big believer in not letting fear stop you from really living life. So it's a great reminder that sometimes we just have to take that first step, whether it's in buying a home or anything else. So a little timeless wisdom to keep us all grounded.
Yeah, what's interesting about that is it seems like even in 20, how many years, 2,000 years ago, 2,300 years ago that Marcus Aurelius was on the planet?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Marcus Aurelius lived almost 2,000 years ago, around the 2nd century AD, so roughly 1,800 plus years back. And it's fascinating how his thoughts are still so relevant today. Just shows
fascinating how fear consumes so many people. And I'm almost convinced that after reading a lot of history, a lot of philosophy, and maybe even some science books on where we are as a society, not just the United States, but the planet in and of itself. And we seem to be consumed with fear. And I know that personally I deal with it on a regular basis. My family deals with it on a regular basis, but I think there's a great deal of wisdom here to be reflective and check the emotions and see if they're valid. And what could you add to that, Sol, that you think might be contributory to this topic?
I think you're absolutely right. There's a lot of timeless wisdom in just pausing to check in on our fears and see if they're really as big as they seem. Like you said, whether it's history, philosophy, or even just everyday life, a lot of people have faced these same emotions for centuries. And often, just taking a step back and asking, is this fear really serving me, can be a huge help. It's about focusing on what we can control and letting go of what we can't. And sometimes that's exactly what we need to move forward, whether it's buying a home or just living life a little more fully.
That's right. That's right. So moving on to fun with puns, because before we're going to wrap things up, we got to try to have a little fun today. And, and my energy level is like, but I've been trying to reduce my caffeine consumption and, because I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I'm still on the old time. And so let's start with pun number 1. Let's see, let's bring in one of our videos. One moment.
Absolutely. Let's have
ChatGPT, wait.
You got it. Let's dive right into those puns and bring up that energy. Whether it's a kleptomaniac in the courtroom taking the stand or a wild pig being a total bore, let's just roll with it and have a laugh. And hey, a little laughter is the best pick-me-up, even if the caffeine's running low. Let's jump into that first pun and get everyone smiling.
Okay, you go right ahead. So the first pun is jury. People deciding who has a better lawyer.
Absolutely. Let's roll with that one. So here we go.
I'll let you comment on that one. I'm going to bring in the next one. You comment on that one. I'm going to bring in the next one.
Absolutely. I'm on it. So yeah, that Jerry joke is a classic. 12 people just figuring out which lawyer put on the best show. It's like a reality TV finale, but with a bit more paperwork.
Yeah,
all right.
So hang on. Here's the next one. Inflation. Cutting money in half without touching.
Exactly. Inflation is like that sneaky magician that cuts your money in half without ever laying a finger on it. It's a trick nobody asked for, but we all get to experience. So a little humor definitely helps us cope with it. Let's keep the fun rolling.
All right, so here's a couple of others. Wild pigs are usually a total...
Absolutely. Those wild pigs really know how to hog the spotlight with that one. It's always good to end on a punny note and keep everyone smiling. Thanks for the laughs.
Secret equals something you tell one person at a time.
Exactly. A secret is just something you tell one person at a time until, well, everyone knows. It's like the waist kept open secret out there. And with that, I think we got our fun with the puns.
No, I've got a couple of more. So hang on. Don't try to rush me. Baby monitor equals parent sleep prevention device.
Absolutely no rush at all. And that one's spot on. Baby monitors are definitely parent sleep prevention devices in disguise. They're like a little reminder that peaceful sleep might just have to wait. All right, let's keep the fun rolling. No rushing here.
All right, so we got one more. Stand down.
Absolutely. I'm here and ready for it. Hit me with that last one whenever you're set, and we'll wrap it up with a smile.
So our last pun is, behind every successful man is a what?
Is a surprised woman. That's a classic and always a good one to end on. It's a fun reminder that sometimes success has a few surprises along the way. Thanks for sharing all the laughs.
So how about one more, maybe two more. Robbing a bakery really takes the...
Takes the cake. Absolutely. That one definitely takes the cake. And hey, I'm always up for another pun or two, so keep them coming if you'd like. It's been a lot of fun.
What's my favorite pun?
Oh, your favorite pun? Well, I remember you mentioned that one about Shakira always shaking her fins as a favorite, so that one definitely stands out. Always happy to throw that in for a laugh.
How about, hey, my favorite pun is bad puns. That's how I roll. So, hey, man, thanks for tuning in today. And if we want to thank our sponsors, right? List Reports, Rate, and knowledge truly is the key to being successful in our industry for everyone, for the buyers, for the sellers, and so we appreciate you watching us, and we're just trying to present some objective information as it relates to the mortgage and real estate industry and the news and the events that are occurring that could impact us. And so with that said, please join us here. Whether it's live or not, we would enjoy your comments. We would enjoy if you like, or if you don't like. And so we're here every Saturday on LinkedIn and Facebook. And until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and I'll see you at closing. ChatGPT, say bye.
Absolutely, Mac. Thanks everyone for tuning in. It's been a blast. And like Mac said, we're here every week to keep you informed and have a little fun along the way. So stay engaged, let us know what you think, and we'll see you next time. Take care and goodbye.
See ya. Bye.